I recently replaced my trolling motor. I had a Minn Kota 30-pound thrust, but it's intended for freshwater use. I had installed the same trolling motor on a big tuna back in 2013, and after about 2 years the seals around the motor rusted through and the motor I guess shorted out. I didn't bother replacing it. I just went ahead and sold that kayak because it was way too big for me. Anyway, instead of replacing my trolling motor with the same thing, I decided I'd go with a saltwater version. Not Minn Kota, but another brand. And also, I was going to upgrade it to a 46-pound thrust. I know that seems kind of silly, a 46-pound thrust trolling motor on a 13-foot kayak, but I did it for a couple of reasons. The first one is safety. This channel that runs across through me here is the Intercoastal Waterway. Has a lot of boat traffic, barge traffic, etc. In my 10 years of kayak fishing, I've probably crossed this thing 100 times. And I've had a few close calls, boats not adhering to the no wake zone, or boats going slow through the wake zone, but still going fast enough to throw a sizable wake. And so I want to get across that thing safely, and if I add a little speed to my kayak, that with paddling as I go, I can cut that time probably in half. The other reason is I want to extend my range. With all the people out right now, the fishing pressure is tremendous. On an average day, I've seen as many as 10 kayakers out here, and in other places I fish. So I want to be able to go a mile or two up the shore and get back safely if the wind comes up or if I'm going against a strong tide, and a little more power will provide that safety. So I did a video of the install, so I'm going to show you that. A little bit later on here I'm going to do some speed runs to see how this kayak performs with the new trolling motor compared to my old Minn Kota. So, but first I want to catch a few fish. This is what I meant earlier by boat traffic. Two just came through and are already out of sight. There's 4 there, there's 3 here, 1 there, and another one coming in sight down there. So just a steady parade of boats. I have removed the old trolling motor, and this is my support bracket. It's nothing but a piece of 2x4 with a piece of polyethylene mounted on the bottom, and the only purpose for that polyethylene after I screw it into the boat is to keep this from turning. All of the support goes through this bolt here. One of my concerns though is I think I need to add some support to the bottom of this, because my new trolling motor weighs 5 to 6 pounds more than the old one. And I found an old piece of 2x6 treated, and you would always want to use treated, that I think I can make add a little bit of support bracket here at the bottom, but there's a problem there. I've got 2 problems. This goes in at an angle, and it also has a bow in it, so I've got to cut a piece with a angle on it as well as a curve. So let me see if I can figure out how to get that done. Using the feeler gauge, I got my angle there, and I'm going to transfer that to my table saw and make my inward cut from there. After at least 2 hours of cutting and sanding, I finally got my piece made, and I went ahead and painted it to match my kayak. With the bracket in place and this added to the bottom of it, I think that's going to add a lot of strength to the back end of this kayak. So let's get the trolling motor on and see what we need to do. I've already gone ahead and removed the cap, and inside you see the switch. I've already disconnected the wires. The support is held in place by a bolt going right through there. I've already taken that out, so I'm going to just go ahead and lift that off. I'm going to use that hole to my advantage for mounting my tilt mechanism. This is my box that the switch is going to be mounted in. I've already drilled a 3/4 inch hole for all my wires to go through, and a hole for the switch post on which the knob will be mounted. It's going to be epoxied into place in 2 places, on the side here and of course on the bottom. And since this is my 3rd trolling motor install, I learned something in the first 2, is that you go ahead and mount your wires to the switch before you epoxy it in place, because some of these terminals are screw-on terminals where you have to put a little screw with a nut through there. So let me get everything in place before I epoxy it. One of the problems you have to deal with in this installation is how to work around this problem right here with the motor tilt and lock. What I do is I take this mechanism totally out, and to do that it's usually best to take this whole shaft out of that support bracket there. So let me get that done. The next thing I'm going to do is remove this lock washer right here so that I can lift this whole mechanism out. There's a pin that goes right through there. I need to knock that out. Okay, I've got the pin out, so what I need to do now is you pull on this and like that right there, and you're going to twist and turn and get this cap off like so. And now all I have to do is release the tension on this spring by doing this, and there you have it. It's all out. And there you have it, free and clear. Okay, this is my completed control box with the wires installed. The switch is epoxied in and it's pretty steady. That's my knob that I use to control it. Now to seal this, you can see on the inside there, I use this product right here called Duck Seal. And what it will do, it will make a watertight fit on the inside. Now I also use that on the outside there, but then I coated that with liquid tape. It makes a very watertight seal. And I had a inexpensive voltmeter that I installed, so when I get this completed, put this back together, I'll be able to check my voltage on my battery at any time. The previous battery I had in here was a 35 amp hour. It weighed 24 pounds. This is a 55 amp hour. and it weighs 46 pounds, so I'm adding some additional weight, but it hasn't been a problem so far. I've been using it for 6 months or more. Okay, let's look at the motor. I want to show you 2 or 3 things. First, the steering part. The cords you see here are the cords that came with the kayak and attached to the rudder that came with the kayak. And my apparatus here, you can see, is nothing but a U-bolt, and with it extended down. It's extended down to get it lower to the opening of the cords. It also gives me greater range when it's lower. Okay, let's go look at the foot pedals. I had to disable the locking mechanism on the foot pedals so both of them would flow freely. And now the lifting mechanism. I used the existing hole, put an eye bolt through it, got one of those, a pulley, and one end of the rope attaches to this, comes up through the pulley, goes through this pulley, and in my seat, all I do is with one hand I will lift this and place that loop over the cleat, and that puts it in the up position, and I just reverse that to lower the motor. Now to the electrical part of it. I seal the opening in the shaft with the duct seal that I talked about earlier, and with liberal use of electrical tape and this covering right here, all my wires go directly to the control box. It's just very plain and simple. Keep things simple, it's easier. So let's get this thing on the water and give it some trial runs. Well, I don't like the looks of those rain clouds there, so I think I'm going to go ahead and do my speed test, because I may not be out here much longer. First I want to raise my motor and see how fast I can paddle. Okay, looks like the fastest I could get. My average speed was probably 3.1 miles per hour. On the first speed, I'm averaging 2.04 miles per hour. Second speed, 2.32. Third speed, felt a pretty good kick there. Let it build up to speed. 2.9 miles per hour. Speed 4, 3.05 miles per hour. Wow, a real big kick on speed 5. Looks like it's 4.05 miles per hour. I'm going to add my paddling, see what I can get up to. 4.4. And now I'm going to turn into the wind. Into the wind, 4.2 miles per hour. With the wind, 4.7 miles per hour. But the one thing I'm noticing, and it's very apparent, is that this motor seems to me like it's making more noise. It's louder, has a louder hum than my old motor. Maybe just my perception, but I don't know. Well, I fished about 3 hours. My trolling motor has run quite a bit during this 3 hours, and I'm going to say that with my old trolling motor, I probably stayed on the third speed more than the other speed, and with this one Either 1 or 2 is going to be fine for most of my fishing. When I get home and put my battery charger on my battery, I will post the percentage of amperage used during this 3 hours. My voltmeter is still reading 12.3, and I started at 12.8, so that's a good sign that I'm going to be able to fish 3 to 4 hours without running my battery all the way down. So overall, I'm very well pleased, except for the noise level that I think I'm hearing. Didn't catch many fish, but it didn't get skunked, so I had a good morning out on the water.